From the campus of the University of Kentucky, you're listening to Behind the Blue. I'm Cody Kaiser with UK Strategic Communications. There's a first time for everything, and on Friday, December 19th, 71-year-old University of Kentucky College of Education graduate Ellen London will experience a significant first, attending a graduation ceremony to accept a diploma. Ellen, who just earned her second master's degree, didn't attend the commencement ceremonies for her bachelor's or first master's degrees at other universities. She didn't even attend her own high school graduation, saying she was too shy to be in the spotlight. As she dons a cap and gown for the first time and readies herself to cross the stage at Rupp Arena, she'll be cheered on by friends and family, including two family members who are also part of the UK community. Her daughter, Dr. Tessa London Bounds, a cardiothoracic surgeon with the UK Gill Heart Institute, and her 10-year-old grandson, Harry, a cello player in the College of Fine Arts UK String Project. On this episode of Behind the Blue, my colleague Allison Perry joins this trio to talk about their nomadic upbringing, a love of learning, and how the University of Kentucky has been able to provide each one of them with a vastly different educational experience.
Happy to be here with a trio of people who are interviewing with us today for Behind the Blue. So I'm going to start. We have Ellen London, who is about to graduate from the UK College of Education. And we have her daughter, Tessa London Bounds, who's a CT surgeon here at UK in the VA. And you did your residency here at UK, so you trained here. And then we have your son, Harry, who was with the UK String Project. You played cello, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So we love this story. It kind of came originally as a grad story. And I think, Tessa, you'd emailed one of my colleagues and kind of given some backstory. And then we saw all the connections that you all have to UK and just thought it would be really fun to do kind of a family podcast talking about, because everybody's connection to UK is so different, but I kind of want to start. It starts with you, Ellen. So, and you've had such an interesting life. So tell me a little bit about your resume, for lack of a better word, and like what led you here and what ultimately led you to Kentucky.
Oh my goodness, it's a big one. So 50 years ago, my husband and I were graduating from college, and we said that we wanted to live overseas and we wanted to join the Peace Corps. Right? And they told us at that time that you couldn't join the Peace Corps unless you were married. So we got married to join the Peace Corps, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
sure.
It worked because 50 years later, we were still together, right? But so they didn't accept us in the Peace Corps right away, even though we got married to do it. I graduated from college, and I finished with my bachelor's degree and in April, and my husband said, well, it's silly to stick around till June. Peace Corps didn't accept us, so we moved to Alaska. And when we moved to Alaska, we were still wanting to go overseas, and then we got Peace Corps.
And I believe, you were living in New York, was that correct, when you graduated?
I grew up in New York City.
Yeah, grew up in New York.
My dad was a professional musician, and music was the whole world. Like, we had a baby grand piano in our living room, as well as my parents' bed, because we only had one bedroom. So it was, and all the musical instruments. We didn't have much else, but we had a lot of music lessons and stuff. But it actually is carried on for our whole family. It's been the main thing that's kept us stable, I think, and, something that to look for that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. New York to Alaska is a big jump. So that's what I kind of want to establish.
New York, Washington State, Alaska. Just do the story. I met my husband. I thought I was in love with him. And so 6 weeks later, I left New York with my suitcases, never been past Pennsylvania, and moved to the West Coast to live with him. Like, it's crazy. If my daughter did that at 19, I would have killed her. Right? But we did it. And then I graduated in April, and my husband had already graduated, and he said, well, it's silly to stick around for so I didn't do that graduation. And then Peace Corps came through, and our plan was to stay overseas and raise our kids overseas. But after Peace Corps, we came back and hung around a little bit, moved around a little bit, and then went back overseas for a second Peace Corps tour, and then had our kids, and then started our career overseas. And the whole point was that we wanted our kids to see that people were pretty much the same, that we're all part of the same human race. And it really didn't matter what color they were, and it really didn't matter what language they spoke. Basically, they were the same. And our plan was for our kids to speak a couple of languages and for them to have an idea that the world was not so big. And I think we did that. We focused a lot on education. I went to work at the schools where they were because I didn't trust anybody. We went back and got our graduate degrees and then really started our career in 1988 overseas, and the rest is history, yeah.
So you grew up in other countries.
Yes.
Can you tell me, what do you remember? Like, well, I guess specifically some places that you lived in, maybe what you remember from it, Tessa?
We moved to Morocco when I was about 4, and we were there till I was 4th grade, till I was about Harry's age. I remember going in the Sahara Desert on family vacations and bringing my Barbies there, and then having Barbie burials, and then having to have dinner and coming back after sandstorms and losing all of our Barbies. I met my best friend there. Her name is Ashley Sills, and she lives in California now. And she and I lost touch for maybe 25 plus years. And when I got married, I called her up. I said, "You want to be in my weddings?" And she's been there every time I've had a major life event, and we don't talk in between. But we're those kind of friends. And then we moved to Ethiopia, and we moved to Kenya, where it was in the International School of Kenya. I remember being on all the sports teams and going on vacation to Lake Lungano, where you would see hippos and crocodiles, and I was taught that you had to be more fearful of the hippos than the crocodiles, so I know that. And then we moved from there to Ethiopia, and in Ethiopia we would go rock climbing with my dad and my mom, and we would spend days in the Rift Valley, and my father made a lot of new rock climbing routes that had never been seen or touched by any other rock climbers. And then we had moved because of the war with Ethiopia and Eritrea. So we moved to the south of France. So we went from Ethiopia to the south of France, where most of the people in my very small school, at the international school where my mom was working, were Monegasque. So they were from Monaco and came into school with their Lamborghinis and Ferraris. And we would come on the public bus to school because we didn't have a car. We had a 1-bedroom apartment. Actually, we had 2 bedrooms, but only 1 window. So we all kind of stayed in the non-windowed part. And then we moved to Bangladesh, which is where I went to, I finished my high school career. Bangladesh was wonderful. It gave us a lot more freedom that we had never had, my sister and myself, and I played a lot of sports. And so we did the South Asian International School Circuit. So I was able to do sport in Nepal and in southern India and get to travel. And that was how I started having independence, which was wonderful.
That's incredible. That's so much. Have you all had a chance to take Harry here out of the country? Where have you been, Harry?
I've been to France.
What do you think about it?
It was my favorite trip I've been on.
Do you like the food there?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have really good bread and cheese.
We went to a pizza place, and we got like a pizza, and it had all different kinds of cheese on it, and it was really good.
All right. One of the things, Ellen, I was looking at your resume, that you were a fiber artist and a fashion designer at one point. So can you, and it looks like you've worked in education too. So can you talk a little bit about the various jobs that you've held? And
Yeah, so I graduated with a master's in library science from the University of Washington, and I didn't go to that graduation either because we didn't have any money, and graduation was expensive, and so I skipped that one too. So I skipped my high school one too, because there were 1,100 kids in my graduating 12th grade class, and you walked in by size, and I was the 4th shortest out of 1,100 kids, really shy, and I said, there's no way I'm doing that. So I skipped high school, I skipped my bachelor's degree, I skipped my first master's degree, and while we were overseas, I after I did the international schools for a long time, I got a job working for EBSCO Publishing, the research database company, and I supervised all the international schools around the world and did workshops all over the place. But I also made all my own clothes from all the fabrics I had. And so 7 years into it, I was doing conferences with my clothes under the table because people were buying them. And luckily I had great bosses because they were like, it's okay. But I decided that I would start a business, and that's when that started. That was just making stuff, right? But the stuff was the kind of stuff that people would stop you and ask you, where is this fabric? Because I'd mix all sorts of fabrics and then do my own work as well. And we would be talking about all different countries and all different cultures and teach just what we had said we were going to do with our kids. I was doing with people on airplanes and flight attendants, and it was very, very cool. And then at one point, I quit my other job and started doing that full time. Lots of stuff in between, but when we finally ended up here and hit the pandemic, right before that I was doing Paris Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, all of those and all the shows, and then everything closed at the pandemic. It just shut like that. And so I started doing my own work, and so I juried into the Kentucky Artisans Guild in Berea. Did a bunch of shows there. Once that opened up, did exhibits down at Pam Miller and also at the Carnegie Center. And I did not like that because the stuff was just sitting. It just sat and it wasn't movable. Nobody could talk about it. Tessa was one of our main models, by the way. She was on the runway a few times and she did most of the photo shoots.
Yes, but I have been informed that even though I am tall, I'm too old, so I'm no longer allowed to walk.
She's aged quite a bit, yeah.
I've been told this.
So how did you all end up here in Kentucky?
Well, we know how he ended up. He was born here, right? Tessa started it.
Yeah, so I came up here to finish my general surgery training. I came from Tulane Medical School, so I went down there to do medical school as well as get my master's in public health. Honestly, initially focusing on the public health aspect, but was able to do a 4-year career where I was training over to get my MD and PH. And I came up here because my mentor down there was a trauma surgeon, and the trauma up here was very, very good. And so I came here thinking that I was going to do general surgery for 5 years and then do a fellowship in trauma surgery. But by the time I got to the point where I was applying for trauma surgery, my focus had shifted, and it wasn't. I couldn't see myself doing that in the long term. And so I focused on cardiothoracic surgery with a main focus on thoracic surgery. But when I got into cardiothoracic training here, as soon as I started doing cardiac surgery, I knew that that was where I was meant to be. And so I was here for training, and our training is pretty extensive. It's 5 years of general surgery, and then I did 2 years of CT surgery fellowship, and then I ended up actually going to WashU for a super fellowship and came back here.
A super fellowship.
An extra, at one point they just gave an extra super one. And so I came back here because the job opportunity was what I really wanted in that point in my career. And when I had Harry, the pull was too strong. The gravitational pull pulled my parents back from Bangkok, Thailand, where they had been living for 15 years, bought a condo, has very well established. And as soon as they met Harry Cartwright, they moved to Lexington, Kentucky. They moved up the street in Lexington, Kentucky, three houses down. Yeah. And I did not know they were moving here. Neither did my sister, who at the time moved back to China from Washington, D.C. And one day there was just some moving trucks. And then my parents, who had lived overseas for 40 plus years, now lived down the street.
They just showed up at your door.
They were right there, three houses down. I was like, hi. That was kind of a cultural change, but it was very good. And Harry got to have a lot of opportunity to really bond with my parents, both my mom and dad, in a way that really you can only get from grandparents.
Yeah. And Ellen, you've obviously started your degree with the college. What's the degree you're earning from the College of Education?
So I'll get a master's in counseling from the College of Education. And it's more complicated than I thought. I will get the master's. I'm finishing up next week a 600-hour field work at the Bluegrass Community Health Center, which is a place I never thought I would love as much as I love. I really love it. My husband had worked there, and he didn't finish his work. And that's the way I thought. And he was in the medical part of it, and I'm in the behavioral health part of it. But I understand so much more about him from being there. And the people who work there are awesome. And the patients are awesome. I love it.
Is he the one that kind of inspired you to go that direction and get that degree, or were you just interested in?
No, what happened is my business stopped because of the pandemic. Like, people stopped wearing clothes. Like, I don't know what they were wearing on the bottom on those Zoom meetings.
They're dressed like me.
But they were dressed a little bit even nicer on the top, for the official meetings. They were wearing pajamas and slippers on, I don't know what was on the bottom, right? Hopefully. And so I went back. It seemed like a lot of people were struggling. So I went back and I got a coaching degree, which was awesome in a lot of ways. And that was great. But as I did coaching with people, I realized that things were much deeper than what most people were talking about. There was a lot of stuff underneath. And that's when I went back and did the counselor education, because it was virtual, which is one thing, so I could keep sewing and embroidering and whatever else I was doing. And I could still do the coaching, and I could still do both at the same time. So I entered that program in May 2024. Everything was going great. And I did it in part because my other daughter had started her doctorate. And I thought, well, we could both graduate at the same time or close to each other. We'd inspire each other, right? In the end, she was the one who kept me going, because I've had some real moments where this is not for me. So I'll graduate with a master's in counselor education from the College of Education. And at that point, I have to decide how I'm going to mix it in with what I already do. And I have some ideas, but it's not real clear yet. Yeah.
May I ask how old you are? Can I ask how old you are?
71.
Earning a master's degree at 71. I mean, what do you think about that? That your grandma has gone back to school voluntarily?
I don't.
Are you proud of her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you proud of her?
Because it would be really hard. Like, if you just said, I'm going back to school, if you're 71 years old, there would be people who would be like, oh, you're going back to school because you're dumb or something. But
Out of the mouths of
she's going back
babes.
to school because she's smart.
I think that we're all very proud of her, and I think it's been pretty amazing. She added on some classes that she took voluntarily outside of even UK when my father was sick, and I think she was doing it to understand people's process so that she could really contribute to their healing while healing herself. And I think by doing that actually inspired all of us as well, because I've always thought that women get better as they get older. And it's because of this type of thing, because there's no ceiling to learning. You don't just graduate high school and that be done, or medical school, or whatever degree it may be. It's just the beginning and the tipping off point where you are activating your brain to ask more questions, to become more of a holistic person. And I think by doing it at 71, it's also very inspiring, because it says that there's really no end point when you're just done and put out into that gray zone where you're just waiting to die or something. I don't know. So waiting for some end point that's not really there. It's an end point that you create, that's a moving target that you can continue to recreate yourself and change and have new chapters. And I think that's really wonderful and inspiring, because your life shouldn't ever end up the way that you anticipated it at 20. And I think if it does, you did something wrong. And so I think that it's very inspiring.
Yeah, you remind me some of my mother, who is a lifelong learner. She was a teacher, worked in the public school system, worked at Morehead State as a professor, retired, and then was like, I'll get my pilot's license just because I want to, and did. Exactly. And then she was like, I think I'll do ballroom dancing. And then like competed and won all these. Yeah. And now she runs a flower farm in Springfield and like sells bouquets at the farmer's market. So she just loves to like learn and try new things. And when I was reading your kind of backstory, I was like, you remind me of my mom.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. One of the things that you learn in coaching is you dig deep into what your values and belief systems are. And if you lean into those values, once you know what they are and you lean into them, it just keeps rejuvenating because you're in alignment with what you believe life is about, right? And learning and education is a top one. It's a really top one. Family and marriage was a really big one for me. You know, marriage is not easy. You know, I just listened to Brene Brown talk. I don't know if you know who she is, but she was just talking and saying, I mean, she's amazing, right? But she said, the hardest thing I ever did was my marriage. She said, it's a very difficult thing for two people to stay together because they don't change. She said, we've been through deaths of parents. We've been through all kids. We've been through everything, right? So the marriage and family arts are really, really important to me in education and learning. And so I leaned into it. I mean, I could add something here and just say, I'm graduating, but I've signed up for another certificate. So, because I want to learn more about trauma, because that's like the root of everything, I think. So I'll finish that certificate, I think, in June. And then I don't know. Yeah, I wanted to learn Dari and Farsi, and I wanted to be fluent in Spanish. So there's a lot left. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned music earlier and how important that is to your family. And we have Harry here basically because he's with the UK String Project, which I don't know a lot about. They give you lessons. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. You get private lessons and group lessons. Like when my sister was doing them, she got private lessons because she was too young to go with the whole group. But once you do it for a while and meet the group, it gets really fun.
So why do you choose cello?
My mom kind of inspired me. She played cello her whole life.
Oh, you played cello too?
Mm-hmm. I figured it was a good instrument to be able to make sure he's practicing properly. But now it's his.
Yeah. So what did music mean? You said your husband was a musician, or your parents were a musician?
My dad was a professional trumpet player, and so it was. I mean, it's embarrassing when I say it, but you know, we would go out to eat, and they would check the menu, how much everything costs at the diner in New York City, right? But we would have a brand new flute and lessons, or we'd have piano lessons at Manhattan School of Music or at Juilliard. It was the value system because it was stuff that would pay you back. And it has paid me back over and over. And that's what I wanted for Harry, and that's what I wanted for Tessa, and that's what I wanted for because it gives you something. Art gives you something. You know, I imagine sports does too. My husband was really big in sports. I don't know enough about that, but I do know the music. And when I passed my national exam in October, I bought myself a baby grand piano, which is crazy. I had to empty out my whole living room for the piano, right? But when I first played it, it was like, I'm in love. Yeah.
And I mean, you know, the music is art, but you also went into a career that's pretty hard science, I would say. So what do you feel like having that background and learning cello and playing music your whole life maybe did for you? Oh,
I think it's a direct connection to heart surgery. And it sounds kind of odd, but it's not. I don't think it's circuitous at all. I think that the best heart surgeons are people who can focus and really be able to see the details and be able to adjust. And that's what music allows you to do. There's definitely technical aspects of cardiac surgery that you can teach most people, I would say, depending on how their hands operate. But to be able to seamlessly move through an operation and be able to adjust and be able to create an artistic expression that actually is functional is pretty magical. And it's kind of like music where you're creating this whole different dimension, and in heart surgery, you're just able to see it as well. And it's pretty wonderful when the heart comes back. It feels like a symphony that you've created. And I think for the kids, I know that, so I get to be involved in help selecting our people that come in and trainees and things like that. And the research has shown that the people who are the best at any sort of surgical specialty are people who have a musical background, sports background, able to focus, able to take criticism and adjust to that, and have discipline. And both surgery and both sport and music both have those elements to them. It's just there's an artistic expression that you really can't get from sport. Although Harry's very sporty and goes to Scapa, so we're able to find that balance.
What sports do you play, Harry?
I just finished my football season. I'm doing basketball now. I got all-stars in baseball.
Wow.
I did gymnastics, and I'm going to martial arts tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
I did go to it since kindergarten to third grade. I play sports at recess like soccer and basketball. I used to. Now I just run around and play games.
Have you thought about what you want to do when you grow up? How old are you, Harry?
I'm almost 10.
Okay, you got some time to think about it.
Yeah. I want to be my first choice in the MLB, my second choice in the NFL, my third choice in the NBA.
Okay.
He usually will say that his backup is heart surgery if none of those work out.
Yep,
but
sure.
Begrudgingly, of course.
Or after that, be Yo-Yo Ma.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Did you say your other son, what was it about? He's coaching baseball?
No, he is actually a sophomore at UK, and he's just starting with the baseball team.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
So we're very proud of him too, and to be part of UK. He's very much embraced it, and the team has been really wonderful. He's met some really good friends, and you can just tell he's happy from the inside out. He beams. I don't know if I should be saying that. He's probably going to be embarrassed, but he's found his spot too. I think UK for all of us has, as you said, it's kind of individualized everything that we've done. Each person has their own little niche that has allowed them to kind of blossom for what they should be. And each one of us has our own little section of UK that don't seem to entwine, but they are all the same.
Yeah. Do you all, I'll start with you, favorite memory from working on your degree here?
So I have a lot. I made a list. Okay. But I would say, it's a virtual program, so you don't actually get on the campus, right? But there were some things like the library is awesome. And even seeing my other daughter, when she came back, walk in that library, it was like magic. It's a magic place. Singletary Center, when he played the concerts, is seeing him up on the stage. It's incredible. Like I was just showing him the first videos he did of cello when he was just playing the three notes, and now it's like part of his body. It's beautiful to see. The other one is the first time I saw Tessa wearing her long white coat with her name on it, and her touching a patient was awesome to see that. And then the Donovan Scholar Program has been I've never lived by a college or a university before, unless I've been going, and this was like the first opportunity to take advantage of that. I don't know if other states do that, but it's like the opportunity of a lifetime. If people don't take that advantage, I don't know what to say.
If there's someone listening who, we know what that is because we work here, but you kind of explain what the Donovan Scholars Program is at UK.
I know vaguely what it is. I'm not the expert on it, but if you're over 65, I think it is, in Kentucky, you apply for it, which is not a big application. It's just showing that you're over 65. And then you're pretty much allowed to take any courses you want, but you can't go into a program unless you've been accepted in the program. So I couldn't just go into the counselor ed I had to be accepted into it. I had to be accepted into the next certificate is through the School of Social Work. But I had to be accepted into that in order to register for those classes. Now, all the other ones like, Spanish and well, they don't do Farsi, but Spanish and, philosophy and religion, you can add those, which is like the benefit too, right? So that was another one. Let's see, there was another one on here. Let's see. Oh, and Tessa graduating from her residency and our whole family being there. That was another big one. So yeah, there's a lot of Tyson. We're all living in Kentucky now. Our other daughter bought a house too. So we're all here. I have our car in my driveway. So
House is across the street from their house.
we're all on the same street. We didn't want to move too far from each other.
So what about you? Favorite moments? I mean, could be from residency or even now that you're, faculty in the College of Medicine. And
Yeah, there's been some wonderful moments, obviously patients and there's been a lot of moments with patients and colleagues that have been really stand out. When I first started, maybe a couple years after I'd started as an attending, they were doing a story on one of the patients that I had been part of their care, and I got invited to a UK basketball game.
that was me.
Yes, that's right.
That was me.
And that was such
to go on the floor.
It was such a wonderful moment, and I've never been to a UK basketball game, and that was the only one I'd ever been to. And my dad is a big basketball fan, and actually our friend who was from Thailand, she would come to the States. She didn't speak great English, and she loved it. So the two of them would watch UK basketball and be passionate about it. And so he was able to come, and it was so wonderful. I think I didn't realize how important it was, and his I guess his reaction to me was just so proud. But the other part of it was seeing that patient, because it was the first time that I was able to, I tend to see patients when they're in their lowest moments, and they're focusing only on the pathology. And so my job is a very distinct job. I get to see people at a very short period of time, and I'm asking them for very intimate moments for them. And so you become very close very quickly, but I don't get to be a part of their other parts of their lives. Actually, I just had clinic today, and I tell people they graduate from me, and they're all so pleased to never see me again. But they're very pleased to see me in that short period of their life, to be able to share those moments with me. And that experience with the patient at UK, not only being able to share it with my father, which was very special, but to be able to see that patient and to see the gratitude and to see him healthy and happy and being able to move on with that chapter of his life and being able to be part of that little part of his life was wonderful. Sorry. It was wonderful, and it was very, I was very honored.
Yeah, we went to that patient's house to interview him. He lives in Frankfurt, and he has an entire room dedicated to UK basketball. And that's what we talked about, in basketball. And we left the shoot, and it was like, how can I get this? He's never been to a UK basketball game. I was like, how can I make this happen? And we went back and moved heaven and earth to figure out how we could get him to be recognized on the court. And his wife emailed me after and was like, this was the best moment of his life, getting to go down on the court at Rupp. And we got him a tour of the locker room too. Like, one of the reps volunteered to do that for him. It
was so wonderful. And then I got to, I stood right, I got to stand with him. And my dad he was primary care, so he was always able to see that side of people. But as a surgeon, you don't get to see, there's some longevity in what we get to do, but we don't get to be part of their entire lives like a primary care doctor would be. And so I kind of was awkward. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know what we're going to say to this guy. But then we sat down and we were able to meet him and his wife, and it was so wonderful. So the whole time we just spent the time with him. And when we went, and his wife, and when we went down to the court, I think that we were all a little bit anxious, or I was very overwhelmed. I guess I didn't know what I was going to expect when we went on the court. And he was right next to me. We were all standing in a line, and he put his hand out and he grabbed my hand. And I was like, so I grabbed his hand, and it felt very comforting. And then I grabbed our CMO's hand from the other side, and then realized that I was holding the CMO's hand, and that was I did not know if I had overstepped at that point. But that was there's been moments like that. There's also been moments that are when I've needed something for my own family, where because of the relationships that I've been able to establish, I've just been able to call up a neurosurgeon or a one of my colleagues who does thoracic surgery, who did my father-in-law's esophagectomy, we drove him up here every month to get treatment from Mississippi, to get his treatment at UK. And my father as well, my neurosurgery colleagues, they went above and beyond to explain things to us and explain things to me. And it was wonderful to have that relationship.
Yeah, and is it okay to ask you about your husband and
Yeah,
and
sorry.
you mentioned
You just want more tears here.
This is happening.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is happening as you're working on this degree too. So I mean, that's just a whole other level of stress.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had started in May. He was not sick in May of 2024. And
He did
I
the
was
4th of
just-
July thing. You guys all did the,
Yeah,
he
we
ran the 4th of July with Harry.
yeah, he ran the
The
4th of July
10K?
race downtown with Harry. And I mean, I was walking it, right? But I was there. And yeah, everything was going along okay. I did the first semester. And then in September, he was really sick. And I was in the middle of the heart of the program. And I had to keep asking for extensions. And there was one instructor who was so awesome, and I'm going to mention her name because I haven't said thank you to her. I'm going to wait till I graduate. I don't want to kind of like her think that I'm trying to, get something or whatever. Her name was Dr. Kathy Shepard Jones from the College of Education, right? And so I kept writing to all the instructors, and some of them, because I didn't ask for it, the extension enough, took off a grade and stuff like that. And she finally wrote back and she said, no, I'm going to start crying. She said, you don't have to ask anymore. She said, you've got it for the rest of the semester. She said, we'll get you through this. Whatever I have to do, you've got this. You do what you can do. And I remember there were points at which I was in the middle of a class and I'd have to take care of some stuff, right? So, she epitomized what being a counselor was. I have to say, out of everybody in the department, and her class was on the development of the human brain. And so we were talking about how the brain developed from the beginning and became an adult, right? And my husband's brain was coming from being an adult and disappearing. It was very tough. That was the toughest part. It was kind of not fair. That's what I was studying. But she got that. And there was a TA that was working with her that I don't remember his name. And he read all of my stuff and commented in detail. Those were the two that I remember very well. Yeah, that was it. And then after he passed, I decided that my daughter, who was getting her doctorate, and I should graduate at the same time because 2024 was horrible. The end was horrible. And I thought 2025 will be different. And so she'll graduate in December and she'll have her doctorate and I'll have my second master's in December. But yeah, it was tough. Yeah, there's no question. It's still tough. Yeah. Yeah.
And so graduation is just 3 weeks from this recording?
I don't know.
December 19th.
It's 4 papers and a final away. And I think I have 21 more hours of field work left to do. So yeah.
And you were actually attending this graduation.
Yeah, it'll be the first. I think I've gotten a lot of pressure to attend it. I can't say it'll be my last one. I don't know. I don't think I want a doctorate. I've never wanted that. So I have some thoughts about what comes next, and we'll see. Yeah.
Didn't you say you already bought your cap and gown?
I did. I have my cap and gown. Yeah.
I got a phone call at 8 o'clock at night, which you don't call after 8 o'clock at night, but a phone call saying that I bought my cap and gown. I was like, okay, we're ready.
I've never had one before, so this will be interesting.
I took the day off. We're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you going to celebrate after?
So I wrote that down too because there were so many things I was going to do. I'm going to hug and thank a lot of people. I think that's the first one. And hug and thank my daughter and her family virtually in Jordan, where they live. I'm going to clean my house. My house is terrible, right? We're going to go out to eat at a really great restaurant in Nicholasville called Mr. Shawarma, which is Syrian food. And the people who work with me at the clinic, I've made some very close friends there, and they're invited for that. And my friend's coming up from down from Philadelphia to go to the graduation. And as soon as it's done, I'm going to take a breath and a break and go back to designing clothes at the same time and start planning how I'm going to work in the degree and what I already have. Yeah.
So who else going to, like you said, you took the day off. How many people are going to be there cheering you on?
I don't know. These two, for sure. My friend from Pennsylvania will be there. I don't think people can leave from work. So, like, even just these two is enough, actually. And my daughter will put her on video from Jordan so she gets to see it. Yeah, I have no idea what to expect. I've never done this before. So I don't know.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked, or anything you want to talk about about your time working at UK, or you got to play at Singletary Center, and that is an impressive place to play music.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's really big, and there's a lot of sitting and waiting because like there's cellos and then violins and violas. So there's cello A's, the people who are just like starting cello, and cello B, which is where I am. I've been playing for like 5 years now. So I'm into like shifting and vibrato. So when you get on stage, it's like this violin A, B, C, D, and then there's a rehearsal, and then you do the concert, and after the concert at Singletary, my grandma would always give me puppets, but this time she didn't, so because she's gonna make like a crochet.
Yeah, one of those those crochet animals that all the kids are doing now. Yeah, that's really stumping me, I have to tell you. I can't. It's really beyond my capability at this juncture.
Yeah, you've been really good at knitting.
I've been very good at it, yeah. So
Yeah.
He is an exceptional teacher. His name is Ethan.
I was going to
Young.
ask if you it's a student. Is that the students give the lessons, or is it faculty?
The students are fabulous too. They have some wonderful TAs that come along, and they're just all very passionate about teaching and the kids. And his teacher's name is Ethan Young, and he's wonderful. His wife runs the string project. I think they kind of run it together, and she's so wonderful. And they even took on our 5-year-old daughter who has a lot of energy, and not always the easiest to focus on, but it feels like we've been growing up with them here, and they're our extended family. And Harry as well. He started off with a extendable chair with 2 books on top of it because he was so little, and now we're giving one of the extendable chairs to one of the other kids who's coming up. So it feels like you have your own family that you don't have to explain anything to. One of my partners, who is also a concert pianist like my mom, even though she has not mentioned that, she came with us to a concert and realized that there was this musical epicenter from UK that was pretty amazing, and it's smaller than those in New York, but you have the same level of talent and passion. And so even if you're in a less metropolitan area, you can still have those wonderful experiences that kind of transport you away from wherever you are, whatever that means to you. So it's been pretty pivotal and wonderful, and kind of hurt my heart when my daughter didn't want to play cello, but we're still waiting on it.
When you said you got a baby grant, I figured you had to be a piano player. So, yeah.
Well, I didn't want a baby grant, but I was listening for a certain sound of what I was playing, and I couldn't get it anywhere. And I got it from this instrument, and I walked away, and I said, no, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. What am I doing? It means everything in my living room has to go, right? But yeah, it's, as we're talking, the word love keeps coming to my head, right? Because I can say that I love Kentucky, but here where I'm going with this. It's the people that you love that make the place a place that you love, and I love the bipolar weather here in Kentucky. I love that you never know what's going to happen in the afternoon. It's wonderful, right? I also like being around my grandson, which has been, as I said to him, what did I say about your hand, Harry?
Every time you touch it, it feels magical.
Yeah, he's pure magic.
This is why it's hard for him to not understand that he's not perfect. Right there, this is the problem. Grandparents.
I believe I am.
Yeah. No, I think UK's been I mean, my husband is an APRN here. He's pulmonary critical care, and
I didn't know that.
He's had his own journey. He's been here probably as long as I have, but he had a different pathway, and we met in the hospital when the time was right, my nephew comes here every year to work with UK and in tutoring and things like that, and has found really wonderful people that's really helped him. And so they'll come back to the States and specifically come to UK because there's certain programs here that they don't have elsewhere. I think Kentucky's become home, which is very hard to say for our family, saying that we've moved around so much. We're very nomadic, and even living here, as soon as I finished my training, I wanted to leave because it was just the culture that I came from. And it's been very nice to be able to lean into Lexington and actually make it home. From all different aspects, and being able to have everybody have their own little niche and the wonderful culture that is here. It's not just Lexington, it's Kentucky as a whole. It's very consistent with how we were raised, which is very interesting because it's half a world away. Just different accents.
Yeah. But yeah, we always talk a lot about how UK is the university for Kentucky, not of Kentucky, with the idea being that we're here to serve the people of Kentucky and kind of give you what you need. And I feel like your family, with everyone's kind of getting something that they need from UK. And that's what I've really loved about your story.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it. It's like, and you can find your place and then be able to give back, which is the whole point of everything in life, to find your place, allow yourself to grow and take enough to mature yourself so that you can give back. And it's, I think, done that for our family in spades. And to bring my family to one location in the U.S., all on the same road, is pretty amazing for people who've moved around for 50 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I keep saying it comes down to love. I mean, I think the Beatles had it right. All you need is love, because that's what brought us here. It was him.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
It was him.
I know that.
What she didn't say was that my husband knocked at doors to find a house down the street from her so he could spend time with Harry. Right? That was it. It's pure love, right? And as I worked at this clinic that I've been working at, it's the other part that is what comes next is, as I see working with older women, mostly refugee women, that their relevance in their lives, how they're relevant, not only culturally, but in the whole thing, makes them feel love and connection to themselves. And with that, there's a lot of joy. And so that's, I think, the words for 2026 are joy, love, and connection. And they're great words. There's no hate in them, right? It's just a lot of love, and that's what's here. And with our daughter in Jordan, too. My daughter in Jordan as well.
I think that also, just to go back to her degree and UK and what she's done, it's actually, so I've had a very academic path, very focused, very somewhat linear in that respect, even though it's been circuitous getting to this spot. But her perspective on health and mental health and being introspective so that you can really figure out what your value system is. I never would do that. We don't pause. We just continue on and just keep going. And when she was in training for life coaching as well as this master's, she'd have to have a guinea pig to try certain things out on. And she would ask me certain questions that were so relevant and so introspective and made me think about things that I wouldn't normally think about, that I think it's made me a lot stronger of a human, both from a career standpoint, as a mother, and just as an individual, because I have a very strong concept of what being able to articulate what my value system is. And so when I make decisions, as long as they're in alignment with what my value system is that I am so steadfast in, it's helped in every aspect of my life, from career to parenting, which is difficult. I'd say most sometimes, actually the vast majority of times, more difficult than my job. But being able to lean back into that, which I learned specifically from her doing this training, I think it's really helped mature me even at my age.
Yeah. All right. One last thing. Anything else that you all want to say? Do you want to get off your mind?
Don't say 6,
You look
7.
like you're going to say something.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I told my friends I'm going to be famous.
Okay. So this is the moment. And I don't know if so Harry went into SCAPA. So he did UK, a string project, and that still is been what he's doing, but it allowed him to go into SCAPA. I say SCAPA, maybe SCAPA, but and he's flourished since then. I mean, he's taken on piano and clarinet and made a lot of friends who think very similarly to him, as well as being able to mature his sport interest. And I don't think that he would be in that position had we not had Ethan and the string project. So.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Blue. Behind the Blue is a joint production of the University of Kentucky and UK Healthcare. For more stories about UK and UK healthcare, visit uknow.uky.edu.